snoring. Okay, here we go. And I think we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I'm teacher Casey, and I am here with Kelly and Cindy. Hey, ladies, how are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Doing well. Just had a vacation, and I feel like I'm finally getting things back in order. Trying to get back to the routine. So, yeah, it's good to see you and be able to chat with you again.
You too. Yeah.
I wrote to all of my friends. I'm like, gosh, I miss you guys. And it's funny because we've never met in person, but yet I go on vacation. I'm like, I haven't talked to my friends in a while.
I know.
So just to go, and that goes to show the friends you can make online and online teaching if you put yourself out there and meet some friends and get, part of a community. So, and it looks like Rebecca is signing on. We've got the team here. All right, well, as most of you already know, lots of things going on in China with the new regulations, and some of us are looking to diversify. And the four of us have already done that. So we're going to talk to you today about Outschool. So can you guys say hello, introduce yourselves, and we'll get started with Outschool. Kelly, I think you signed in first. You want to go first?
Okay, sure. So I'm Kelly. I've worked at Outschool for a year in June. So it's been a little over a year. And I have videos on my channel, Teacher Kelly Tag, about Outschool and other things. And it's been so good to me that I even temporarily almost stopped, or I was only working a few classes at Outschool instead of Vipkid. So it's been a great alternative to Vipkid for me.
Very good. Cindy?
Yes. My name's Cindy Bennett, and I do also have a YouTube channel, and I kind of started it with Vipkid and did a lot of Vipkid videos. I also have the channel, a lot of information about using the iPad for teaching for Vipkid. So I'm definitely pivoting on the content on my channel, but you can also use the iPad for teaching on Outschool, which is awesome. You can use it as, sorry, I'm in my living room. So you can also use your iPad for Outschool, like as a backup. I personally wouldn't use it for all my classes because there's a lot of things, like if you want to use a second camera and different things, I guess you can. There are things you can do. You can be creative. So I am actually going to have someone on my channel and talk about different companies you can use with your iPad. But Outschool is definitely a great alternative. I've used it as kind of like a part-time thing, and it's kind of like, can be like a little hobby. Like if there's something that you enjoy doing, like I've done baking bread, knitting, piano. It doesn't have to be majorly academic classes. So if you love teaching and you love kids and you want to do something for fun, it's even good for that if you're not completely into it for full-time type work.
Great. And Rebecca?
Hi, my name is Rebecca. I have a YouTube channel called Rebecca F Online Learning. It started with Vipkid and some phonics videos on there. And I've kind of pivoted. Last year I started Outschool also about May, June, about the same time as Kelly and Cindy did. So I've been at Outschool for a year now, and it has definitely boosted my income. So I was able to cut back with Vipkid and not wake up so early. Only working a few hours a day instead of a lot of hours a day. So that was really nice. And I teach math and science on Outschool.
Great.
Things that are fun and get messy.
What's that?
Things that are fun and they can get a little messy.
That's one of the great things I like about Outschool is we are not just teaching ESL, but whatever we want to, whatever we feel passionate about. So yeah. So,
but if you want to see the parent side of Outschool, I have a daughter who takes a ton of Outschool classes, so I can show you what the parent side looks like, because it's always nice to see what both sides look like, to see how to cater and, send people like, how do you write feedback? This is where you go as a parent to write feedback.
Great. Very good. So let's talk about some differences I think they're totally different, but maybe somebody wants to jump in and talk about some of the differences between Outschool and Vipkid.
Well, the biggest one that everyone talks about is you have to make your own lessons. So that's the biggest one. And, it's mostly American kids, although there are kids all over the world. And daytime hours, actually any hours you want, since it is around the world, but books better in the daytime. I just want to respond to something Cindy was saying, is that the iPad did save me at Outschool a couple times. One time my computer just decided to restart in the middle of class. And I usually use the iPad to show my books. So then if I'm on the iPad on Zoom, then I switch to my phone for the books and just have to show it to them old fashioned. So I agree, Cindy, the iPad's great for Outschool too.
Yeah. It's really good that you can have your backup devices right there and ready. Did you talk about your iPad group, Cindy? Are you going to be changing your iPad group to like teaching online with the iPad versus?
That's a good one. I'm not exactly sure. I'm gonna see leave it for now, because there's actually people still joining the group, which is kind of unusual. But I was gonna say with Kelly, it saved me also for one of my classes. Like, you can just get into that class so much faster, but you can also sign in on both. Like, you could sign in on your iPad and on your phone. And you could use it that way. So you just kind of have to know ahead of time, like, what you want to do with it. It's not kind of the thing you want to do spur of the moment if you have to. Like, I teach piano, so I could easily just use my iPad as a teacher. But I use Manicam to show my piano on the side. So that might be you'd have to kind of think about what you're going to do with it. But for right now, I'm going to leave the group as it is and just see what happens. Because I didn't know there were that many companies that could use the iPad. Because a lot of the Chinese companies, VIP Kid was the only company. But I did want to say also that, you do have to make up your own classes. But if you are a VIP Kid teacher or you've taught the ESL classes, I think teaching those classes kind of gives us an idea and the skills to create our own classes, like we've learned how to give a little information, do some fun, give a little information, do some fun, give some stickers. Like, even for my piano classes, I give rewards throughout my class. Yeah. And I'm like, this is great. I never thought of this before, but I thought, I just put stickers out for my kid and it keeps him interested. If he likes dogs or cats, he's only a little kid. He's only 6. So so the skills we've learned we can draw from that for our classes, which I think is cool.
Yeah, we have always said VIP was a great place for us to start online because of the workshops and just the knowledge they've given us. So we definitely are not taking away from VIP Kid, because it's still, it has great resources. It's taught us a lot, but we do need to be sure we are diversifying, because we're not sure how long it's going to be around. So, lesson planning, there's a lot of templates out there, I think, that even some that are free that I used to use in kindergarten. You can, find these lesson plans and kind of put your thoughts to paper and come up with something easier, I would think, instead of just sitting down. If you sit down with a blank paper and like, I'm going to lesson plan now with no direction, it might be a little bit tricky, but to maybe have a little template. The Outschool does have kind of like, you need the description, you need certain things, but to really break it down, there are resources out there for you.
Yeah, and you can always go to Teacher Pay Teachers or Pinterest to get ideas, and then you can make it your own. You're like, ooh, I like this, and this idea. Let's combine them together. Because then you're not stealing somebody's work. You're just gaining inspiration. And good teachers just gain inspiration. They don't recreate the wheel. So you get inspiration. You're like, I like this idea. I think I can flesh it out into a long class.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. And you can, and if you get permission, you can even buy things off Teachers Pay Teachers too. So, if someone's intimidated by the lesson planning, it doesn't have to be complicated, or it doesn't have to be like a brick and mortar school lesson plan. Or like Cindy said, there's a lot of fun classes you can do. So you don't really have to like do a serious lesson plan if you're cooking or something like that. So, yeah.
Good. Another difference, schedules.
Yeah. You can make the class however long you want it, from 20
Yes.
minutes up to 2 hours or more. You choose your time. You choose when to start, when to end, anytime, day or night. And then you just hope that somebody books that time, that time works for their schedule.
So who's
Yes.
teaching in the middle of the night on Outschool? Nobody, because
Yeah,
we
but
don't
tomorrow
have to.
or the next week, I do have a 7 a.m. Mountain Time class that's fairly booked up, which is impressive. But I have to remember that that's 9 a.m. Eastern, so kids are up and wanting to have a class at the time. Because so that means I have to end ESL right on time and go straight to Outschool. I don't normally have it that early, but somebody booked it and then people joined in. I'm like, great, let's do it.
All right. Yeah. That's great. I'm kind of running into that right now with my other company too, Rebecca.
And switching companies to company is hard.
Yeah. So we can make our own schedules. And what about the pay? The pay is different.
Make your own pay.
Yes. That's kind of tricky, I think, when you first get started. That's probably one of the second most asked questions is, what should I charge for a class?
I feel like the pay is hard because, like, for me, when you put up a class, if say for me, I usually say $10 or $11 or something, and you get 70% to yourself. But if you only have one student booked, you can cancel the class.
Right.
But then you're not going to get to attract that student. So for me, if I had one kid, I just, gave it all I had. So maybe they would book again and that class would get some momentum. So when I first started and I didn't have any other, like it was during the summer, I didn't have other things to do, I would do the one-person classes. And some people didn't, but it worked for me because I got lots of customers and
practice.
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes the students were like, where's all the other kids? And I'm like, oh, this is a small class. But I just went with it. And so you only get paid like $7 or $8. But, then when they book up with 4 or 5 kids or more, you clean up and you really feel that momentum. And that's awesome.
Right. Because each person pays individually. So when you have 4 kids paying $7 take home pay, then that's $28 for that one class. That's pretty good. Yeah. And you choose what your minimum student number and your maximum student number. So you can say, I'm going to cap at 6 students or 8 students. And you decide for your class type, how many is too much, because you want to make sure that everybody has an equal turn to talk. If you teach 18 kids, well, it just becomes more of their listening to you and they want to have time to speak too. So I normally cap between 6 to 8 students maximum, but usually a little bit smaller than that.
Me too. That's mine. Yes. And it is like the law of supply and demand. When we all first got on last year, there was 1 million kids because they were all home. So the demand was really high and there wasn't as many teachers. So the supply was lower. So it goes in waves too, obviously this summer was more normal and there was less students, whereas more who are homeschooling are going to sign up in the fall. And I've heard different things as far as pay. And of course, different parents are going to have different opinions on it, but some parents might say, oh, I'm going to go for the cheaper classes because it's easier on my budget. And then I've heard people say that like, oh, well, if it's a low paying class, it must not be very good. So you kind of have to have that balance where you're not too high that no one will book you because your price is too high, but you're not too low that people say, well, that's probably not a good class then,
Right.
And you can change the price at any time. If you're like, okay, no one's booking it, it's probably too high, you lower it $1 or $2 for a couple of weeks. Or if it's not booking because it's too low, you raise it for a couple of weeks. So you can decide and you can play with it as much as you want to.
Right. And I think parents sometimes need to know, I mean, we've talked about it on here before, that we are making 70% of what we charge. So if they are, we have 1 or 2 students, we're still trying to earn our money as well. And the time it takes to prepare and the supplies we buy and things like that. So that is kind of different with VIP Kid, where you have to kind of plan it out. What, I don't want to say what you're worth, because that sounds wrong, but what your class is worth, and how much to charge. So that's a little bit tricky and different. Where VIP Kid, nobody has a say. This is just what we do. We get paid for this time, things like that. So what about cancellation policy?
Yeah, well, one of the things that I recently learned, and I think Kelly might have been the one who shared it. I'm not sure who shared it. Maybe Danny, because she was, if you cancel, like I have, my piano class, it's only one student. So if I have to adjust the class, I'm like, it's no big deal. It's only one kid, and I've had to adjust that class a few times. And if you have to change the class, they won't advertise for you.
If you have 3 cancellations in a 24-hour, like less than 24 hours, you cancel 3 classes, then they won't advertise for you a month. Like they could still go to the Outschool site and search for you and you'll show up, but they won't advertise for you.
Okay.
Right.
So if you just change one class, they don't do anything. It's just if you do 3 classes.
Yes.
You mean change, you mean cancel.
Yes, cancel.
Okay. So you can
some teachers will cancel for low enrollment, saying I'm not worth teaching one student. But if they keep canceling all the time, then they're also not going to get the bookings. And I've had it happen to me a couple of times where like only one student's in the class and they drop out because they're afraid I'm going to cancel on them. Like, no, I'll still teach you. But because enough teachers have canceled on them, they just like, we're being proactive and just ask for a refund early. I'm like, stop, guys.
I usually ask if they mind being the only student.
Yeah, and give like a 24-hour notice and say, if I don't hear back from you by 6 p.m. today, I'll go ahead and cancel the class for tomorrow. So give them 24 hours and decide. I always like it when teachers, as a parent, give me not really an ultimatum, but say, here's the deal. You can either stay in the class as one person. We can hope for more people. What's your choice? If you don't choose, I'm going to cancel it at this time. Because that means that the teacher has an out, because sometimes the parents don't read the message or don't get back in time. So that's have a default of saying, okay, as a parent, I know if I don't get back to her in time, then the class is canceled. Then that's good.
Right.
Yeah, because we also communicate with the parents. We never really did that with VIP Kid. We we're hands off, like feedback done, but we didn't have this conversation. So sometimes when I have conversations with parents, I'm like, oh yeah, I actually get to talk to parents and figure out scheduling and answer questions. And okay, a little bit of administrative work. I'd probably say 5 to 10% of my students actually have a conversation with me in the classroom. It's not very many at all. So don't feel bad going, I have to talk to every single thousands of parents and stuff. No. It's just like a few that will want to have a conversation with you.
Right. And it can come and go. Like if you have a lot of new classes out back in January, I put a lot, you're going to have a lot more conversations because you're going to have people messaging you, asking questions and everything. So it really depends. Yeah.
Good. Excellent. Hey, James, thanks for coming. I know you can't be a part of Outschool, but I appreciate you being here, and so glad James has his alternative is independent. So he does a lot of private lessons while he is over there. So glad you are prepared, James.
Yeah, in other countries, but they still have their ESL. If you're in another country, there's still people who want to learn English.
Right.
For that.
True.
Right. Yeah, very good. So I think Outschool is a great alternative. One other thing is you do not need to have your degree for Outschool. You just need a passion for teaching. I would say a passion for learning as well, because I think all of us can agree we've had to adjust and learn new ways of doing things and new ways of teaching online. I don't know. So I think you need to have your passions there. What do you guys think?
I think no degree needed. You do have to be 18 or older, and work with some kind of kids in the past. Right. And there are 5 countries you can be from, like US, England,
Canada.
Yeah, Canada, New Zealand. I think those are the 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you're from one of those 5 countries, then you can apply to work with Outschool.
Mm-hmm. Now, for Outschool, you have to be in those countries, though.
Yes.
So
In
that-
them,
that's
like
a little bit
living there.
different.
living in
Some
them.
of the other ones, you just need to pass the background check in those countries, but you can be living abroad.
Right. Like Tim's from Canada, but he's living in wherever he's living now, and he can't do Outschool, but there's other places as long as you have the Canada,
Right.
passport. Yes.
Mhm. Same with James.
Yeah.
The thing
Yes.
if somebody's new watching this video, like, don't let the technology intimidate you. Like, if you can go
Yes.
on Zoom, you're good. There's a lot of teachers that still they'll use a whiteboard. You will want to maybe share your screen. There's a whiteboard on Zoom. There are lots of videos on that, but I mean, if you can do Zoom and share your screen, but you don't even necessarily have to do that. Like, there are lots of teachers who use what they already know and do it without a whole lot of technology. I mean, technology is fun, but sometimes the kids, they don't even care that much about,
Yeah.
as long as you are animated, you make it fun, you make it interesting to the student in whichever way you do it. It doesn't have to necessarily be majorly technological.
Yeah, and you can
think-
slowly learn the tech. We all started very low tech. Here I am as a teacher. Here you are. Let's have fun. We
Yeah.
slowly go into, okay, we can do a secondary camera by logging into the account with our phone and hooking up on a gooseneck to show our art project down there. Some of us have done that. Some of us have done ManyCam. Some of us do shared screen or do Canva. That comes later. Yeah,
Yeah.
don't get freaked out. Just do maybe learn one new thing every few months. When you start getting bored of yourself, that's when I started doing it. When I felt kind of bored, I'm like, I'm getting stagnant. Let's try something new.
Yeah. Me
And the
me
kids are
too.
like, wow, this is cool too. But looking back at the old videos, I'm like, hey, it worked. It was fine.
Right.
Right.
But
Yeah,
now I just keep growing.
Yeah, I worked up to it too. Like now I'll do full on Google Slides. I was not doing that at the beginning. I wanted to go back to, you were saying like you don't need a degree and you only need to be 18. Well, a lot of the classes are things like cooking or hobbies. And so my daughter is 17 and she works at a restaurant and it's getting too much with school. I was thinking if you were only 1 year older, you could work on Outschool. And if you're that age, like the video games and the fun things that like the kids are going to love. And she was even like, well, I don't want to teach them anything. I was like, you could totally have a class where you just play video games as long as you put that's what the class was in the description. So I think it'd even be a great job for someone in college, who wants a flexible schedule,
And
So
it's great when you're kind of nerdy. Because then you know all the facts of these TV shows and these Pokemons and these Disney stuff. You know the sports stats. Somebody made a good killing. Teacher Daniel just doing sports stats.
Yeah.
Things like, I don't know sports very well. But if you know sports or these like pop culture things, go for it. Don't feel like I'm too nerdy. I don't know anything. No, we need nerds.
And you're talking about the video games. I think parents are willing to pay to have a safe space for their kid to play video games. If the teacher is providing a safe place. Exactly. Yeah. I do want to say, Cindy had mentioned the technology, and if that is holding you back, you have 4 mentors on this video right here. All of our links are below. And we are willing to help you. We can show you Zoom and things like that. I'm sure you guys are willing to help with Zoom as well. I shouldn't speak for everyone, but as mentor teachers, that is the way we help people. If you need help with Zoom, or I've done a brainstorming session where we came up with classes. The lady's like, I have no idea what to teach. And I got to know her. I'm like, wait, you're a kindergarten teacher. Well, remember this? We talked about that. And that was kind of, an easy conversation. Someone else was telling me she loves to read stories and she wants to come up with different stories and things. I'm like, how about writing stories as part of a class? So little brainstorming sessions like that. I don't know.
One of my knitting students, she's done that on Outschool, and she wrote her own book and published it online somewhere, and I couldn't find it, but they protect kids in those types of websites, but She was thrilled about it. They are amazing knitters. I cannot even believe these kids. Like, they go beyond what I've taught them. It's just unbelievable. So, and that's the thing I love about Outschool. Once you figure out what you want to teach and what you like, your class will attract kids that like that too. It's so different than the classroom where you go into the classroom. I'm going to teach math to 10 kids that, you know, only one actually likes math, you know, they have to do it because it's required. This is different. You know, they can choose to do your class. You know, I have knitters that want to knit. I have the kid that does piano. I mean, he's only 6 years old. I did a class and I had like 4 students in it. And then I offered private lessons, and he's the only one that's kept on with it. And he's only 6. And, you know, it's little bits by little bits each week, but it's, you know, it's enjoyable, and they keep up with it because they like it, you know? And so it's a lot different teaching than classroom teaching, because I don't know about you guys, but I've taught a lot of kids that hated whatever I was teaching. It's really fun to teach kids that love that topic.
Right. Well, even if the parents are trying to find something for their homeschooling type classes, they can say, okay, my student needs math. They hate math, but they need it. Well, they can go in and find, like, Cindy has a baby animals one. So if your kid loves baby animals and needs math, hey, that might be the class for you, right? I mean,
and I do competition math games where they get to beat the teacher.
Yeah. So play games, you know, like today I kind of held up a paper and we kind of worked on adding. And when they get sick of it, we just switch, and, you know, we can make it fun. And I think that's the one good thing about VIP Kid training, is that we've learned how to make learning fun, and we've learned to read the child and reach the child's individual personality
through a screen. That's a learned skill to teach through a screen. And we've all been there and done that. So Zoom is just a different way to teach through the screen.
Like, you wouldn't think you could, but we've done it, right?
Exactly. Yes. And well, I was going to say, I also like how specific you can get, because let's say you're in a brick and mortar school and you're teaching US history, you have to go through all history, but like you could like narrow it down to like one time period, real specific, if you're at Outschool. So you can like really just, you know, hone into specific things and what you like. So.
Right. Awesome. I think so. I think what we're saying is, if you are a VIP Kid teacher looking for an alternative, you are very well prepared for Outschool. And if you don't feel prepared, you have teachers out there to help you get started. So really quick, I want to say hello, Pranithya. Did I say your name right? So glad to see you on here again. She said, oh, wow, college students can definitely use Outschool as a job avenue. Great idea, ladies. Yes, thanks, Kelly. Good idea.
Yeah, I have a student, my kids, out of all my older kids, I have 10 kids over 18, and none of them want to do Outschool. I've been like, you could do this, you could do that, you know, so it's not for everyone, but it could be.
They just don't want to do it because mom's doing it.
That's what I was thinking.
I know.
That's
it's
mom's
so
thing.
I'm like, you can totally make more per hour than that, but whatever.
Right. Oh,
it's a gold mine waiting for you to find it.
All right. So any last minute thoughts on using Outschool as an alternative?
Just a quick suggestion, because there's 4 different kinds of classes you can do. When you first start as a new teacher, you have to do a one-time class, which means you have a lesson and you teach it once. Then in every section, you teach the same class again and again and again. This is great for, like, I've got it perfected until you got it, you know, get it down. So you meet the teacher students one time and then they're gone. The next kind of class is what the money-making class is right now. It's called ongoing, where you meet once per week or twice per week, or whatever it is, and it's ongoing forever and ever and ever until the parents decide to take them out. The parents are charged every Sunday for the next week automatically. The parents don't have to think anything of it. They sign up once and then it's just automatic, which is great, until they decide, oh, we can't do the schedule anymore or whatever, and they they go out of it. And then you change the content every week. The one thing about ongoing is cannot build on each other because you get people coming and going all the time. So you don't want to say, remember the class we took last month? We're going to build off of that. No, everything's be standalone. So that's my math games, or everything is a brand new game every week. And it just uses the concepts that they are already learning in their schools. Or my science experiment classes. It's, every week a little bit different. But that's ongoing. My kid just fell. You want to take over the next 2 classes?
Yes. We got you.
The flex and multi-day.
Mm-hmm. So for multi-day, I can use mine as an example. I did a handwriting without tears. So that kind of builds on each other for the multi-day. So we start with learning how to use their grip and keep going. So those build on each other. You needed the week before to keep moving. So somebody else want to do the last one?
I've never done a flex class.
Oh, I've done flex.
Either.
Flexes are great. Flex are pre-recorded videos. My flex class was super fun. I had Rebecca's daughter and Kim, teacher Kim, for those of you that may know her. So I had it set for 2 kids, and then every week on Monday, they received their book, their video recording of me reading the book. On Tuesday, they had an activity. On Wednesday, another video. And on Thursday, they had another activity. On Friday, they had a craft. So I did it for 4 weeks. I had everything pre-done, and it was really good. But you don't have to have it set up like that, but everything's pre-recorded, and you just upload it. And then you keep communicating. So Rebecca would upload her daughter's work, and I would be like, great job, and pictures. And it was really cute and really fun.
And the cool thing about the flex class is you put it together and you can keep offering it. Like you can, like she offered it for 4 weeks. She could offer it every 4 weeks and keep booking it if she wants to. And I kind of want to do that. I just haven't gotten around to do it. Yeah. But I love that idea where it's kind of like you're putting your class up there and it's automated. Mm-hmm. The actual class is automated, but then you just like communicate behind the scenes. You don't communicate.
It takes a little time to set up.
Yeah.
Let's see. We have a question in the chat. Thanks for the question. She said, do you ladies find that creating Outschool classes and teaching them to be slightly addicting?
Yes. Especially last summer when she's good now. When one-time classes were booking like crazy, I was constantly thinking of new one-time classes because every time I listed a class, anybody who was following my account got an email saying, Teacher Rebecca, I just listened to class, and I got new people. Now, instead of making a new class, one-time class, I'm just adding to my ongoing section. So when I think of ideas, I go, okay, I'm just going to add that next week or week after. I do plan out like the whole semester, but I have this long list of possible ideas I want to do. So it's a little bit different now with ongoing, but I'm constantly putting new ideas in there, and I find inspiration everywhere. And my thought is, if my 5-year-old loves to get messy doing XYZ, other kids are going to enjoy XYZ. And so I will make it into a class.
I have lots of ideas. I just don't necessarily like putting them into the form to get them approved. So I'll be honest, I've reached out to Stephanie with my ideas, and I pay Stephanie to make my lesson plans. Not all of them, but
yeah. Well, I was like that last summer too, when bookings were hot and I was trying everything. And actually like Pernia said, I actually did it so bad that I made the mistake of overdoing it. There was one point back in January, I was like, I want to get my Outschool going even more now that Christmas is over. I created too many classes, and then it got overwhelming to teach all those classes. So you can overdo it. Yeah.
Cindy? Oh, you're muted. Oh no.
I was going to say, my thing is, like, I don't mind creating the classes, but I get a little frustrated if they, like, I don't know when to do them. Like, are they going to get booked? And that, I guess for me, it's my brain is kind of all over the place. It's hard for me to zero in. But when Rebecca and I did the camp this summer, that was really helpful because then we had a lot of things that we could plan. But I found that the 25 minutes that we do for VIP Kid is a really good amount of time for kids. And so if you can just make classes that really pack in the 25 minutes. And then if you go over, like sometimes like today, I have 25, but I went to 35 as long as everybody's okay with it. You know, you don't have a class after. But the kids, I feel like when they're real young, they kind of lose interest. Maybe when they're older, you can make it longer.
Right.
But that's what I found. I kind of keep it to 25, and unless it's, you know, and like for my knitting classes, if I have an ongoing knitting class, and if I get new students in there, I made a couple videos and put them on YouTube so I can send them. So I'm not using a lot of time for making a slip knot or the actual first stitch. They can kind of get a head start. So that's another thing you can do, is if you have a class that is like knitting or some kind of thing that is a skill-based type thing, you can make a video and you can send it to them and say, hey, you know, if you have time, you can watch this video and you can get a little head start on our class. And I don't know if other people like that idea, but it's been useful for me, especially for the knitting class.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Do you have any last minute things we need to say? I think we're pretty good.
Yeah, I think for me also, Casey did a video a while back about the grant. Like if you are, say you're a teacher, but you have like, you know, you're pressed for money or whatever, and you have kids you want to try, there is a grant company. What is it called? Outschool.org, I think.
Yep.
And so you can apply there. And I applied and got some, it's not a ton of money, but it definitely helps and is nice for you to get going in some Outschool classes to try it out. Yeah. And, you know, so that's also an option.
And that's a good point. If you want to teach an Outschool, I would recommend signing up under one of our links, because then if we have kids like I do, my kid will get $20 off of her future classes, and you also get $20 off your first few classes. That's how I got into it. Somebody gave me a link, and I got a $20 like gift certificate, so to speak. So my daughter tried out some classes. I'm like, this is great. I can do this. And that link also helped me become a teacher. So those links are really important, not only for becoming a teacher, but also becoming a parent and getting like a class to try out for free.
Right.
And then when you become a parent, like say you have a homeschool group, and you can give them all your link, and then anybody else who signs up for a class, if they're brand new, you get the 20, and then they can find friends too. So
so give 20, get 20. Yeah, this is great, because then you can get all these free classes, because you're just passing your parent link along, and it's helping you and helping them at the same time, and helping all the other teachers, because it brings new kids into the platform.
Right, exactly.
Excellent. Great ideas. All right, everyone, ask us questions below. If you have a specific question for someone else on the panel, I will reach out to them and let them know as well. That's all we have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give us a like and subscribe. And I don't even know what I'm saying this time. I haven't finished one of these collabs in a little while. So, all right, everyone.